local, live, and Catholic. Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron and Dave on Annunciation Radio. Here are your hosts, Ron Finn and Dave Vacheris.
Well, good morning.
Fabulous Wednesday. Good morning, Mr. Finn. How are you on this fabulous Wednesday?
Well, let me check here. The pulse seems to be fine.
Good.
Yeah, I think we're good today. How about you?
Doing great. It's 1 week in a day. 1 week in a day.
That's all we need.
Been waiting for this, and it's coming fast and furious and better than anticipated. So just can't wait for May the 7th. Coming like a freight train right at us.
That light is getting brighter and brighter, coming
Amen.
down those tracks, bearing down on us. And, of course, May the 7th is the date we're looking forward to when all of us will gather, nearly 500 of us, and we will be gazing at the stage where Father Eric Schild will have a seat of honor, and he will have a hot microphone, while a panel of roasters have at it. They're gonna roast and toast Father Eric Schild at the Maumee Indoor Theater starting in the evening there on Thursday, May 7th.
Yeah, coming right up. This is Wednesday, so by my calculation, if you go Wednesday to Wednesday, that's a week.
That's right.
You add a day, that's a week plus a day.
That's
why I
okay.
call it 1 week in a day.
Glad
One
you-
week in a day. You know, I try to keep these analogies simple. You know, so it's a week in a day.
Is that
that's
15?
what I'm calling
No,
it.
That's not. That's 8 days, right?
Yep, just
8 days.
8 days from now. Just 8 days from now. We will be at Maumee Indoor Theater having the time of our lives.
Yes.
And with about 500 other people. Should be a great, great, great time. And I hope you've made arrangements to be there with us.
Now, people are asking Dave, is Dave going to sing and or dance?
No dancing, but definitely singing throughout the night. No doubt about it. I just can't help it. I shall break into song. I've almost done it 3 or 4 times already this morning. I thought of a Johnny Cash song. I held back. How high is the water, Mama? I don't know why I was thinking that one, but that was the one that came to mind when I was thinking about simple analogies. I don't know why that one came to mind.
That's
but
one of my favorite rap songs of all time.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it's what started the whole genre, but yeah, so definitely, it's within my nature.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, looking
I'm
forward
like
to it.
Will Tillis. Remember him, Will Tillis?
Oh,
Yeah.
Tillis, yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't. He couldn't talk, but man, that guy could sing.
He sure could.
Without any difficulty at all.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it funny? I remember his name. I don't remember much, but I remember that. Will Tillis.
I do too. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see here. That's going to be fun. And then the week after that, boy, oh boy, we launch into our spring share-a-thon, May the 12th through the 15th. That's going to be a hoot, too, because it's going to be a little different than our spring share-a-thons usually are.
Yeah, we've got Debbie Georgiani going to be joining us Tuesday through Friday, May the 12th. You and I are going to spend some time with her on the air. We'll have 2 of us on all the time. So it should be a lot of fun. Here's the thing. Got to do it. You know, you have to raise money. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be on the air, the other if you extract those 4 days, 361 days for the year, you have to raise the money. And then you extract the other 4 that we do in the fall, 357 days. So you have to do those 8 days, 8 days a week. But you got to do those 8 days a year in order to fund the other 357 days. You just have to do it. There's no way around it. And so we're looking forward to your support during those days. We try to keep it as quick as we can, get it done. Ask for your support, have engaging conversations, not drive you too crazy. You know, just give us what you can. Get as many people supporting us as we can have, and raise $250,000 in the spring, $250,000 in the fall. Bid you adieu after 4 days, and get on with our business until the fall comes back around.
That's it. So let's hope for a successful spring share-a-thon so that we can cover that at least to the fall. So please plan on joining us. Really all 4 days, if you would. The whole week would be good, but, make sure you're tuned in, locked in, as it were, and ready to share with us for the 4 days of the Spring Share-a-thon, May 12, 13, 14, and 15.
Now, here's what's crazy, and I'm hearing this, and I'm hearing it from lots of different sources. Catholic radio groups across the country are down 20% or more.
Mm-hmm.
We're not. We've not been. We've always been able to cover our bills every single year without a difficulty because of the great participation of our donors. Like Flint, just never had a problem. What they're having to do, and I've seen it with one group after the next, they're doing this thing of, instead of doing 2 on-air pledge drives a year, now some are moving to 3, some are even going to 4.
Mm.
And I understand why. I get why they're doing it. But the fact of the matter is we don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like having to do 2, to be honest with you. And we try to keep the 2 that we do, as minimal as possible, 7 to 11. And then we take a lunch break, and then we do 1 to 5, or 1 to 6, I'm sorry, with that hour of prayer from 3 to 4. And so, and it's not it's just a have to. It's just a have to. You got to pay the bills.
Yeah,
$500,000 a year. It's the best way I can figure to slice this pie.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the partnerships that have been forged over these past 16 years, have been all the difference in the world, because you're not just listeners to us. You're partners with us. You're supporters of us. You're part of the plan, part of the program, as it were. So you're the ones that make it happen.
Yeah, and I will tell you, when other Catholic radio groups were struggling during COVID and other times, we were not. So I don't believe we will, even though I'm hearing it from others. I don't think it's going to be an issue with us. So I thank you in advance. I believe 1,000% that come the end of on Friday, 6 o'clock on May the 17th, we'll be at full funding, as we always have been. I believe we will be this May 17th, and we'll do it again in the fall.
Very good.
And in between those 2 times, we will leave you alone. How about that?
Yeah, very good. All right, so a couple of big events coming up. We're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to a lot of big events in this 7 o'clock hour as well. Of course, Wendy Sheridan will have the news for us momentarily. Peter Sabilio in the house. That's right. It is Bible Basics for a Life Fully Lived. What else we got today? Hump Day Humor on Wednesday. That's what we got.
Hey, I don't mind telling you, and I know I've disappointed you over the years. I have a funny one.
Do you?
I have one that when I saw it, I went, oh, that's funny. That's funny. Now, I've often been wrong in my judgment about these things, but I'm telling you, this one's a funny one.
Great. Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, it's a funny one.
And then, of course, Daniel in the Deacon's Den a little later this hour. In terms of the weather, well, upon us all, a little rain must fall. Cloudy with a couple of showers, 54 today, down to 44 tonight, 54 again tomorrow, but, maybe a passing shower, but otherwise clouds and sun. And then cool on Friday, 52, but sun and clouds, so more sun than cloud, I think. And we stay in the 50s for Saturday and climb into the 60s for Sunday and Monday and, the rest of next week. We're at 53 degrees right now, and I don't know how ready you are, Dave, but it is about time for us to take a look back.
Today in history.
And where do you want to begin here?
I'm always ready. How about this date in 1429? French national heroine, not hero. Anyway, St. Joan of Arc and her troops entered the besieged city of Orleans during the 100 Years' War.
Wow, on this date,
so it began on this date, and our wonderful St. Joan of Arc took up her position.
Wow. April 29th, 1945, U.S. troops liberated the Dachau concentration camp near Munich, and on the same day, the next day, I guess, is when that happened. Today, the day before that happened, a day that Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun married, and then he committed suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's when you give yourself over to darkness and death. Unfortunately, that's what follows you.
Right.
This date in history, on this date, 1968, the musical Hair goes to Broadway as a portrait of the 1960s hippie countercultural and sexual revolution. It was highly controversial at the time. Still is.
Yeah.
Some of the musical songs became anthems of the peace movement during the Vietnam War.
1992, deadly riots erupting in Los Angeles. 53 people were killed. It started after the acquittal of the 4 Los Angeles police officers accused of the brutal beating of Rodney King. Etched in our memories forever.
No doubt about it. This date, 2011, Prince William of Wales, second in line to the British throne, married his longtime girlfriend, Catherine Middleton, in a lavish ceremony broadcast to millions of television viewers. You know what I remember about that?
What?
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It's amazing how many Americans tune in to watch these things, and there's so much interest in
King
royalty.
Charles is here now, and
Yeah.
look, due respect, and I do respect all individuals made in the image and likeness of God. So I do respect.
And I noticed where King Charles, presented our president with a bell from the HMS Titanic.
Oh, nice.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
2018, on this very day, April 29th, The Simpsons
Oh, wow.
aired its 636th episode, and that surpassed Gunsmoke to become the longest-running scripted primetime show in the United States.
Never seen a single episode.
No?
No.
Have you seen Gunsmoke?
I've seen maybe 1 or 2 episodes of Gunsmoke. Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Yeah, and
2
it's
of the
not that I
longest
don't
running
watch,
scripted shows on television, and I don't think you missed anything.
Yeah, it's not that I don't watch any of the animated cartoon, that kind of stuff, Family Guy, all that. I do watch. I've seen some of those, but I've just never seen The Simpsons. So,
Okay.
today is International Guide Dog Day. Thanks be to God for all of those who train the guide dogs, and thanks be to God for the gift that guide dogs are. For our blind individuals and others.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely. Where would we be without them? And they're there. In fact, I know maybe I should save this for Hump Day Humor, but a blind man walks into a bar with his guide dog, and without saying anything, he takes the leash of his dog and swings the dog above his head in a circle like a lasso. After a short time, the barman finally asks, "What are you doing?" And the blind man says, "Oh, I just want to look around."
Oh, my.
Okay, anyway,
Ron,
it is
at
International
AR
Guide Dog Day.
Toledo.
International Dance Day today, so boogie down, everybody.
And Denim Day today. And I don't wear a lot of denim, but
I'm
Denim
wearing
Day
jeans today.
I pulled my blue jeans on. You asked me if I'm going to sing. Of course I'm going to sing. Willie Nelson, 93 years old today. Wow. Have you ever seen Willie Nelson when he was not in denim? I mean, that man.
No. And,
I've never.
And frankly, I mean, at 93, he looks 93, but at 83, he looked 93.
Yeah, I was going to say, he looked 93 at 73.
Yeah. Uma Thurman, the actress, is 56.
Yeah, and Michelle Pfeiffer is 68 years old today.
And happy birthday, number 72, to Jerry Seinfeld today.
And Daniel Day-Lewis, 69 years old today.
And Dale Earnhardt, not junior, senior.
Yes.
Born on this date, 1951. Of course, we lost him in 2001.
Yeah, was that at Daytona.
I think so, yeah.
Duke Ellington, born this date in 1899. He passed away in 1974.
Wow.
And that's a very kind of unique day. I know every single person on the list.
Isn't that amazing?
Today
a lot of famous people, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a look at today in history. So now you are up to date almost, but it's not complete without the current news. Hey,
Good morning, Wendy.
In the WTOL 11 newsroom for Annunciation Radio, I'm Wendy Sheridan. Toledo Public Schools have announced a major plan to address its budget deficit. They approved the plan last night. The changes include school closures, building repurposing, and start time adjustments, along with reviewing athletic programs. District leaders say the plan will help close a $68 million budget gap. Toledo City Council members hosting another forum for renters tonight. Residents can share concerns about housing challenges in the community. The meeting starts at 6 at the West Toledo Library. A community meeting tonight will preview Toledo's summer road construction plans. Residents can learn about schedules, project impacts, and possible disruptions. That meeting also starts at 6, and it's at the Heather Downs Library. Lucas County's Litter League cleanup competition returns earlier this year. Teams will collect trash and earn points through the end of August. Organizers hope to beat last year's total of more than 700 bags of trash collected. King Charles and Queen Camilla are in New York today during their U.S. tour. The king addressed Congress yesterday and urged cooperation with NATO allies. President Trump later said the king supported efforts to stop Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted again by the Justice Department. Prosecutors say a social media post containing 8647 was a threat against President Trump. Comey denies the accusation. California's race for governor is heating up in front of next month's primary. Candidates debated issues including health care, education, and gas prices last night. Mail-in ballots go out next week. Purdue Pharma will be dissolved following its role in the opioid crisis. A new company focused on public benefit will replace it. Victims should receive payments as part of the settlement. Ghirardelli Chocolate recalling some powdered drink mixes over possible salmonella contamination. No illnesses have been reported. Consumers can find the affected products on the FDA website. A new Gallup poll shows more than half of Americans feel their finances are getting worse. Many cite concerns about retirement savings, medical bills, and debt. From the WTOL 11 Weather Center, scattered showers, highs in the 50s today. Sunshine on and off tomorrow, mid-50s, low 50s for Friday and Saturday. In the WTOL 11 newsroom for Annunciation Radio, I'm Wendy Sheridan.
I got about 53 degrees now. Thank you very much, Wendy. Appreciate that. And Dave, we did a little fact-checking on Dale Earnhardt. It was Daytona. You were absolutely correct.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, I had no doubt that was, your memory served you well, but you get the bell.
Just put that seatbelt on. That's it.
Professor Pete coming up, and it's the Bible Basics with Peter Sebelio next.
This is Dale Ahlquist with a Chesterton Minute. Have you ever heard someone say that the church needs to keep up with the times? G.K. Chesterton says that all this talk about keeping up with the times has been uttered hundreds of times before. To be up to date, he says, is a paltry ambition, except in an almanac. The church certainly does not need to imitate the secular world. In fact, what does the word secular mean? It does not mean worldly. It does not even mean irreligious. To be secular simply means to be of the age. That is, of the age which is passing. And in the case of anyone trying to keep up with the times, the age that is already past. So what the word secular really means is dated. The church's truth is never out of date because it is eternal. Want more than a minute? Chesterton.org.
Please join parents of priests and Annunciation Radio as we pray for our clergy and religious. We pray for vocations and for an increase of faith so as to become a more holy diocese of Toledo. Today, we pray for Reverend Paul Farbach.
Dear Lord, we pray that the Blessed Mother wrap her mantle around your priest to follow her own words. Do whatever he tells you. May your priest have the heart of St. Joseph, Mary's most chaste spouse. May the Blessed Mother's own pierced heart inspire them to embrace all who suffer at the foot of the cross. May your priests be holy, filled with the fire of your love, seeking nothing but your greater glory and the salvation of souls. Amen. St. John Vianney,
Pray for us.
Local, live, and Catholic. Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron and Dave on Annunciation Radio. Here are your hosts, Ron Finn and Dave Vacheris.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you. And as if it were not enough, we're already halfway through the week, right? There's a whole lot to celebrate. But we add a little something to it because we add a conversation with the one, the only Peter Sebelio to it. It's time for Bible Basics for a life more fully lived. Good morning to you, Professor Pete.
Hey, it is wonderful to be here, and my God, the days are flying by.
Yes.
We are just going through the calendar. We are going through the calendar faster than Father Eric goes through associate pastors. I don't know if that's roast worthy.
Oh my goodness, there we go. Baby, he's getting it started.
Not sure if it's roast worthy, but
might
just
be,
a plug for next week.
I like it.
But we did our basic training in Lent. We get our specialty training in Easter with the risen Lord and Jesus Judo. Jesus flips the script, and soon we have to step up and be flippers too. And right in that spirit, a listener said how much he liked the Jesus Judo, and he wants it on a bumper sticker.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
He was like the Methodist church next to my house. They have a sign about how Easter changes everything, but I like our Jesus Judo better. And of course, another listener mentioned about how she was remembering how I spoke about my dad, a serious topic, but in a deeper sense, a joyful one about how it was really through the long-term suffering that he rose to the occasion with a lived faith, a lived love. And, we were saying that it's kind of that long-term aspect of suffering that is so hard. We don't know why or how long this is going to last. Our salvation is timeless, but we ourselves are stuck in time. And I think the good news is, Jesus gets that. He gets us. Imagine if it were the opposite. Imagine if you suffer through life, you do everything you can, and you finally get to see Jesus face to face. He looks even more compassionate than Jonathan Rumi. But he sees you or he sees me, and all of a sudden he looks angry and he just starts listing our sins. And I'm like, but Lord, I sinned, but I'm sorry, and I tried. You know how hard I tried. And Jesus just says, I don't care. Well, that to me is hell in so many ways. But in fact, it's just the opposite. It's just the opposite. It's not in the Bible, but I always think of that scene that is Bible-based from The Chosen, where Jesus casts a demon out of a man. And the first thing he does when the man is back to himself is Jesus gets right in his face and he said, you suffered so long, I know. And, you just get the sense that Jesus he gets us. And when he enters into time, he suffers. And so he sanctifies even suffering. And that's what our second reading this past week from 1 Peter reminds us, that, he sets up almost like an exchange for us. Since he suffered for us, if we can find a way to give our suffering to him, it does hasten the day when every tear will be wiped away. And until then, our teardrops are like seeds that yield 30, 60, and 100-fold. The faith comes in trusting all of that. How we long to see loved ones who have gone on ahead, moms and dads, brothers, sisters. And, I think of on the other side with us, how many moms and dads sometimes talk about how they teach their children the faith, but one or two of them have kind of gone astray. They don't seem to want anything to do with the church. And yet those parents trust that somehow God will find a way, and that amazing trust that parents show in trusting even their children to God. That is really something to celebrate. And that is just the way it was with the mother of God, Mary. Yes, Jesus bore the pain for all of our sins, yet even he didn't have to bury a son. Mary did. And so through our suffering, boy, while we're going through it, we always can turn to Mary. And one thing I've noticed is that not only does she bring us a sense of peace that comes with a reminder of purpose, a lot of times there's even laughter through tears. And you wonder, as a strong Jewish woman of faith, you wonder if she could ever sometimes even troll Jesus a little, like, Jesus stands up and says, "Ye without sin, cast the first stone." And maybe Mary is off stage with bouncing a little rock in her hand, kind of winking at him. He's like, "Not now, Mom. I'm just trying to make a point, okay?" Or Jesus stands up and says, "All things are possible with God." "Yeah, but nothing is easy," she says. Nothing is ever easy. You wonder if Mary was doing that. And, she gives us laughter even through our tears. And to end on a happy note, because we want to end on a happy note, I have some stuff from kids, from younger folks.
Oh, dear.
That was absolutely hilarious. And that, of course, always relates to Mary. You remember, Ron, Easter Sunday, Mass in the gym, because we were blessed with such crowds.
Yeah.
And, Father Eric, again, he has that aspergillium, the reeds that you dip in the baptismal font.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, when Father Eric comes at you with that well, there was this young kid after me. I noticed how he really got doused. And he was like, when Father Eric comes at you, man, forget the church songs. We need Splish Splash. I was taking a bath.
Oh, that's great.
Here I planned for at least 10 seconds when I figured Dave would just burst into song.
Splish Splash. There you go. Nicely done, Professor Pete.
I have one more quick one.
Okay.
Sure enough, I said to the young fellow, I said, "We got to get a question from you on the air." And he was like, "I don't know, I'll get in trouble." And, I said, "Well, you got anything?" And he said, "Gee, and he looks around for his parents. We'd been there for an hour and a half. He loosens his tight tie and he's like, "Man, why do I have to wear my Sunday best to church when Jesus gets to wear his bathrobe?"
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Joan of Arc?
Joan of
I
Arc
don't want to
today,
throw one in. But
Well, today was the day that she and her troops entered the city of Orleans.
I don't know how to get this one in Bible Basics, but the question was, Joan of Arc married to Noah of Arc? How do I say no for a minute? We'll see if Dave can hold the no note for a minute and 50 seconds.
Tough to get a correct answer in 2 minutes. In that case, it probably do it in about 12 seconds. Thank you, Peter.
Very
Thank you.
nicely
Sabilio, Bible Basics, and listen and get your questions in for that as well. What fun.
Hi, my name is Karen Palachek from Mommy St. Joe's. Thank you for listening to Annunciation Radio.
The scripture tells us to carry one another's burdens, and we would like to do just that by inviting you to share your prayer requests with us at chapletprayer@gmail.com. That's chapletprayer@gmail.com.
Annunciation Radio would like to thank Masick Custom Builders for providing underwriting support. For more than 25 years, Masick Custom Builders has been offering custom home construction and renovation services throughout Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. You may reach Masick Custom Builders at 419-861-7773. Online at MasickCustomBuilders.com. That's MACEK CustomBuilders.com.
Are you or someone you know hurting from a past abortion? Contact Project Rachel for confidential help in starting your healing journey. Please call 419-260-5811 or visit hopeafterabortion.org. God's mercy is abundant and waiting for you. Project Rachel is here to offer confidential help on your journey to healing.
Have you ever wondered about church teaching? What's happening in our Diocese of Toledo? How to respond to challenges to your faith? Bishop Daniel E. Thomas takes time each week to answer your questions on the Bishop's Corner. Submit your questions at artoledo.com, on our app, or email to bishop@annunciationradio.com. Please include your name and parish or town and listen for his answer on the next show.
Local, live, and Catholic. Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron and Dave on Annunciation Radio. Here are your hosts, Ron Finn and Dave Vacheris.
And we are back. Mr. Finn, it's time for Bet You Didn't Know That, I Know I Didn't. And this one is followed by a short quiz.
Ooh.
Short quiz on this one. In the early 1980s, long before it became a cinematic legend, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption was a quiet novella written by Stephen King. It lived on in the pages of his collection Different Seasons, admired by readers, but far from the global recognition it would one day earn. At the time, film adaptations of King's works were already gaining momentum, but this story about hope, friendship, and resilience felt different. In 1987, a young filmmaker named Frank Darabont acquired the rights to adapt the story for just $5,000. Just $5,000 through King's Dollar Baby program, which supported emerging directors. Years later, Darabont turned the modest investment into The Shawshank Redemption.
Wow.
The beloved movie, right? Now widely regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. But what followed behind the scenes became just as memorable as the film itself. King never cashed the check. Remember? Darabont had given him $5,000 for the rights. King never cashed the check. Instead, after the movie's success, he framed it and sent it back to Darabont with a handwritten note. In case you ever need bail money. Love, Steve. So he never cashed it, gave it back to him. Again, the original title of the novel, the little the story that was included in Different Seasons, the collection, was Rita Hayworth in Shawshank Redemption. Do you remember why Rita Hayworth was included in the original title?
I have no idea. Oh, wait a minute. Wasn't there a poster or
there
something
you go. You
covered
did
up
it.
the hole?
You did it. Yes, the
okay.
poster. The poster. There were several posters, right, that he used, but that was the main poster that covered up the hole. And if you remember I've forgotten his name, but the head of the prison would kind of get very angry about seeing these posters of these women. Of course, he was stealing money the whole time, and
the warden.
he was quite the scoundrel. Yeah, the warden. But he would get very incensed by seeing these posters. But anyway, so it was Rita Hayworth in Shawshank Redemption because of the poster. I can't believe you got that right. Because
man.
I read the story and I'm like, Rita Hayworth, what is this all about? I'd completely forgotten about the poster. Nicely done. Well, that's a little bet you didn't know that. I know I didn't. And you got the quiz right. Wow. Good job.
That popped into my head as I was thinking about the movie. So
yeah, good job.
Great.
And now for Heroes of the Faith.
Yeah, St. Peter Verona, our hero of the faith today. He's also known as Peter Martyr, and his memorial is today. But he's also, this guy must be really popular because he's got several memorials. Today is the main church calendar
Peter
memorial.
Verona?
Peter Verona, St. Peter Verona. Not of, just, just St. Peter Verona.
Okay.
April 6th on some calendars, April 20th on some calendars. The Norwegian Primstaben is March 18th, and the translation of relics in the Diocese of Verona celebrate him on June the 4th. So pick your day, I guess, but today's the main day. But he was the son of Catharist heretics, educated in a Catholic school. Now, see, the parents send him to a Catholic school, even though they're heretics. Interesting.
Yeah, right.
And he also studied at the University of Bologna, Italy. He embraced Orthodox Catholicism upon hearing the teaching of St. Dominic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he became a Dominican at the age of 16.
Wow.
Received into the order by St. Dominic.
Oh,
how about that? Prior of the Dominican house in Como, Italy, he was a priest. He was noted to be an inspired preacher in the Lombard region, and he spoke often against Catharists. This is his parents' faith tradition. Called a Second Paul because he turned from heresy and tried to convert his former confreres. Inquisitor for northern Italy and appointed by Pope Gregory IX, this would have been like 1234, assigned to preach against Manichaeism. Am I saying that right?
Manichaeism?
Manichaeism, thank you, Dave. He evangelized throughout Italy, and he was murdered by Catharists on the road. But St. Peter Verona, known as a miracle worker, he died by being struck on the head with an axe and then stabbed through the heart.
Oh, my
They made
goodness.
sure, I guess. And then miracles were reported at his tomb. It doesn't list what those miracles were, but there were several. He was canonized by Pope Innocent the Fourth in 1253, and he is the patron of, it's interesting, in Italy, obviously the city of Verona and the diocese there, but also of a guy, Nabo, Puerto Rico. So 4 different places in Italy and 1 place in Puerto Rico, but he's also the patron saint of midwives, inquisitors, cobblers of shoemakers, and brewers. Yeah. So there you go. St. Peter of Verona, our hero of the faith for today.
Midwives and brewers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite the stretch. Right?
Yeah.
Covering the gamut.
Must have all loved him, I guess, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty
Love
interesting.
It. Thank you, Mr. Finn.
So that is a brief look there at some very important information and a lot of good stuff there, Dave.
Yeah.
Let's get some more information, shall we? Because she's the queen of information, the queen of the newsroom at WTOL is Wendy Sheridan.
Good morning, Wendy.
In the WTOL 11 newsroom for Annunciation Radio, I'm Wendy Sheridan. Toledo Public Schools have announced a major plan to address its budget deficit. They approved the plan last night. The changes include school closures, building repurposing, and start time adjustments, along with reviewing athletic programs. District leaders say the plan will help close a $68 million budget gap. Toledo City Council members hosting another forum for renters tonight. Residents can share concerns about housing challenges in the community. The meeting starts at 6 at the West Toledo Library. A community meeting tonight will preview Toledo's summer road construction plans. Residents can learn about schedules, project impacts, and possible disruptions. That meeting also starts at 6, and it's at the Heather Downs Library. Lucas County's Litter League cleanup competition returns earlier this year. Teams will collect trash and earn points through the end of August. Organizers hope to beat last year's total of more than 700 bags of trash collected. King Charles and Queen Camilla are in New York today during their U.S. tour. The king addressed Congress yesterday and urged cooperation with NATO allies. President Trump later said the king supported efforts to stop Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted again by the Justice Department. Prosecutors say a social media post containing 8647 was a threat against President Trump. Comey denies the accusation. California's race for governor is heating up in front of next month's primary. Candidates debated issues including health care, education, and gas prices last night. Mail-in ballots go out next week. Purdue Pharma will be dissolved following its role in the opioid crisis. A new company focused on public benefit will replace it. Victims should receive payments as part of the settlement. Ghirardelli Chocolate recalling some powdered drink mixes over possible salmonella contamination. No illnesses have been reported. Consumers can find the affected products on the FDA website. A new Gallup poll shows more than half of Americans feel their finances are getting worse. Many cite concerns about retirement savings, medical bills, and debt. From the WTOL 11 Weather Center, scattered showers, highs in the 50s today. Sunshine on and off tomorrow, mid-50s, low 50s for Friday and Saturday. In the WTOL 11 newsroom for Annunciation Radio, I'm Wendy Sheridan.
Thank you, Wendy. Just like the weather and the showers, I too am very often scattered. Aren't you?
Yeah.
No, you're always right on target.
Scattered. Yeah. Here is the thing. I would like to say I have a funny joke, and I'd like to go through all of them and assume that you'll know which one it is, but I'll point it out to you. Yesterday I was at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I was just having a bit of chicken with just by myself, and this person came up to me, very rude, and said, you know, that chicken you're eating probably had a family. And I said, yeah, that's why I ordered the family bucket. No one gets left behind. No, I'm not leaving anybody behind.
I love it. So a police officer calls the station on his radio. He says, I have an interesting situation here. An old lady shot her husband for stepping on the floor she just mopped.
Yeah.
And so, of course, the dispatcher says, have you arrested the woman? Well, no, the floor is still wet. I'm not going near that woman.
A police recruit was asked during this kind of follows that. A police recruit was asked during the exam, what would you do if you had to arrest your mother? He answered, call for backup. I had a great conversation with a dolphin the other day. We just clicked. And that's not even the funny one. I'm just done. I got a funny one. I'm anxious to get to it, but I want to tell it last. It's funny.
Okay,
you're going to take it with you. It's hilarious.
Well, you know, age is creeping up on you. You know you're getting a little old. When you get home, put food in the microwave and then enter your PIN number.
That's good.
A little boy runs up to a grandpa and says, Grandpa, make a noise like a frog. Make a noise like a frog. And Grandpa says, what? Make a noise like a frog? Why do you want me to do that? Because I heard Mom say when my father croaks, we're all going to Hawaii.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's bad. This is your captain speaking. This is your captain shouting. This is your captain singing. That's it. The mother asked her young daughter why she was staring at the carton of orange juice. She said, because it says on the carton, concentrate.
Aha.
That wasn't the funny one.
I like that one.
This is your captain singing. Oh, I thought that was funny.
All right. We love our pet stories, right? There's 2 dogs and a cat. They die and go to heaven, and they're brought before God. He interviews them, and, he's asked, he asked the first dog, what'd you do when you were alive on Earth? Well, for 15 years, I was guide dog for a blind person. I was killed protecting them from being hit by a taxi. It's very good, says God. Come on in. Then he turns his attention to the second dog. What did you do when you were alive on Earth? Second dog responds, well, I was a police dog for 12 years. I was shot and killed trying to subdue an armed bank robber. God smiles and nods. Very good. You will sit at my right side. God now looks at the cat, begins to ask, what did you? And the cat interrupts and says, you're in my chair.
Billy Bob stops Bubba in Biloxi, Mississippi, and asks for the quickest way to the casinos. Bubba says, are you on foot or in the car? Billy Bob says, I'm in the car. Bubba says, yeah, that's the quickest way. It's hard to diet when your favorite exercise is chewing.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get your funny one. I just heard that the Swedish Prime Minister quit after just a few hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one who couldn't put together a Swedish cabinet.
There you go. All right, here we go. I'm going to bring it. All right. I'm probably going to, you got to have time to laugh, think about it, and then maybe tell it again. I now identify, excuse me, I'm going to clear my throat. I now identify as a can of deodorant. As a can of deodorant. Uh-huh. And before you ask, yeah, I'm sure.
Oh.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
I'm sure.
I now identify as a can of deodorant. And before you ask, yeah, I'm sure. That's ridiculous. It's about as ridiculous as the rest of it. There you go.
I love it.
Joining in the ridiculous.
You can retell that one all day long.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So a job interviewer says to the applicant, how do you wish to explain this 4-year gap in your resume?
Yeah.
And the interviewee says, that is because I went to Yale.
Mm.
And the job interviewer says, oh, that's impressive. You're hired. And the interviewee then says, thanks. I really needed this job.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that is funny. Okay, here we go. The drought has been so bad in Texas that the Baptists are starting to baptize by sprinkling. The Methodists are using wet wipes. The Presbyterians are giving out rain checks. And watch this one. Don't be offended. And the Catholics are praying for the wine to turn back into water. Oh, my goodness. Yes. It's just a joke. It's just a joke.
Love it.
It's just a joke.
Woo-wee.
Oh, my goodness.
A red-hot hump day humor today on this Wednesday.
It's just a joke.
Daniel in the Deacon's Den coming up. We'll be right back.
The Catholic Church teaches that Jesus Christ is literally and wholly present, body and blood, soul and divinity, under the appearances of bread and wine. Feeding 5,000 from a boy's 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, as recorded in John chapter 6, is quite a miracle. Yet the next day, Jesus downplays it in verse 27. Do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that endures for eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. Likewise, God's provision of manna to the Israelites in the desert was also a great miracle, yet Jesus similarly downplays it in verse 49. Your ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, but they died. This is the bread that comes down from heaven, so that one may eat of it and not die. Jesus is clearly stating that his Eucharist is greater than both of these amazing miracles, and the Catholic Church absolutely takes him at his word. Examining the truths of the Catholic faith, this is faithforensics.org.
Local, live, and Catholic. Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron and Dave on Annunciation Radio. Here are your hosts, Ron Finn and Dave Vacheris.
Welcome to it. You know what time it is, don't you? It's time for the Lion's Roar. Daniel in the Deacon's Den.
Good morning. I am Deacon Dan Breyer, and welcome to another day in the Deacon's Den. Last week, I shared a couple of books that I'm currently reading because I get asked a lot of questions by parishioners about what are you reading these days and what recommendations do you have for my spiritual reading. And so I like to share that once in a while. But another common similar question that I get from parishioners is if there are particular podcasts that I'm listening to and if I recommend any of them as well. And the truth is, I listen to podcasts all the time. When I'm in the car, if I'm taking a walk, if I'm doing the laundry or other housework, it's just a good kind of background thing to listen to and think about and kind of soak in words of what others are thinking about the faith. So yeah, I listen to podcasts all the time. I have a long list of them that I draw from. Such a long list, I don't have time for all of those today. So what I'm going to do is to share with you 6 regular podcasts that I listen to on a pretty routine basis. And maybe a couple of these you're already listening to, and maybe you'll get a new idea here of something you might want to check out as well. So in no particular order, the first couple that I want to share are on the Hallow app. I'm a member of Hallow. Some of the content there is free. Some you have to become a member to be able to access. So you may have access to these, you may not. But the first couple are from that app. And one of them is just simply the daily readings that are featured there. So there are daily readings from Mass and a homily. And generally this is published Monday through Friday. On the weekends, they will usually post homilies by Father Mike Schmitz and Bishop Robert Barron. But Monday through Friday, they will have the first reading and the psalm that are read by a lay reader. And then the gospel and a short homily will be given by a priest. Usually the entire podcast from beginning to end will run 6 or 7 to no more than 10 minutes total. And it complements the Mass, I think, in some ways. So if you went to Mass that day, it's a great idea to pull up that podcast. You may even want to fast forward through the readings if you're already very familiar with those and just get to the last 3 or 4 minutes where a short homily is being preached. But it's a good way to get some spiritual nourishment for the day based on the daily readings. So that's something I do every day, Monday through Friday, and I certainly recommend that as well. Secondly, there is a really neat podcast on there that is called Hallowed Be Thy Day. That is also published Monday through Friday. The host on it is a woman by the name of Lisa Cotter. And what she does each day is she takes a few minutes, usually maybe 6 or 8 minutes, something like that, to talk about what is special about that day. So she might talk about the saint of the day or a historical fact about that day that you may not know about. Or she'll explore a Catholic tradition and so forth. So she recently did a podcast on whether William Shakespeare was Catholic. You know, there's some who believe that he was, and he was kind of kept that in the shadows because it was not legal at the time to be a Catholic. And so there's some evidence that points in that direction. So she shares stories like that. It's very interesting trivia, helps us to learn more about the traditions of the Church. A third podcast that I listen to regularly is Father Mike Schmitz, and I know his podcasts are very popular online. He generally will put out one podcast per week, sometimes a couple, but you can find it on various apps, on YouTube and so forth. It's kind of available just about everywhere. Father Mike talks, you may be aware, very fast, probably faster than anybody I've ever heard before. So it's not unusual for me to actually slow down his podcast and listen to it like 80% play speed, because the content is excellent, but sometimes it can go right past me if he's talking really fast. But he'll deal with topics going from going to confession to reflections on popular culture, like a movie that might have just been released or whatever. Usually his podcasts will run about 5 to 10 minutes, and they are simply packed with very interesting things to meditate on. So I highly recommend really anything that Father Mike Schmitz puts out is going to be good quality. A fourth podcast I listen to every week is called the Catholic Talk Show, and that comes out once a week. It's generally done by 2 laymen and a priest. Sometimes they're joined by a guest. And usually these podcasts run about 45 minutes, maybe up to an hour, and it depends kind of on the topic. But they will break something down from how a pope is elected to 10 saints you've never heard of but should, or 6 things you may have not realized about the Eucharist or whatever. And they just kind of dig into some topic, and they're very funny. Sometimes it feels like you're joining in on an inside joke with them that you don't get, but it's actually very entertaining, but at the same time informational, because amidst all that entertainment, just a lot of very worthwhile content. It's a good thing to listen to in the background, particularly if you're making a longer drive or you're working in the house or something. A fifth podcast I recommend is called The Council of Trent. Trent Horn is a Catholic apologist. He works for Catholic Answers, and he puts out a podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it's a play on the idea of the Council of Trent, like Council. His podcast is Counsel, Council of Trent. And he does all kinds of things on there, basically presenting arguments for why we believe what we do with our faith. Sometimes he will broadcast debates that he has done with somebody on a topic, but his logic is amazing. And I think it makes for really good points to use for you and me when others question what we believe or they have questions about what we believe. He gives very good structured arguments that we can use in conversation. The sixth podcast is called Poco a Poco, P-O-C-O-A P-O-C-O. Poco a poco in Latin means little by little, or one step at a time. And it comes out weekly, and it is done by several Franciscan friars of the Renewal. And they get into a conversation for about 45 minutes or so on just about anything. They might talk about the mercy of God. They might talk about the Beatitudes. They have some topic for the day, and they just discuss it in kind of round table. I will give this little caution. What I've learned about it is the first 10 or 15 minutes is usually the guys just kind of joking about what they're doing and what they've done in the last couple of days or whatever. And I oftentimes will fast forward through that. And if I get to the last 20 or 25 minutes, they're really going to get into the heart of the message at that point, and that's what I really want to listen to the most. But it's a very good podcast, and again, kind of entertaining at times, but it just is a nice way to immerse ourselves in some Catholic topic. So there are several more that I listen to, but that list will certainly get you started if there's any that you have never heard of before. We have enough downtime when we're driving or walking or running or doing housework, so it's a good opportunity to catch up on the latest in Catholic thinking. So again, those would be Daily Readings and Homily, Hallowed Be Thy Day, Father Mike Schmitz, the Catholic Talk Show, the Council of Trent, and Poco a Poco. So I thank you for joining me today, and I'll look forward to talking to you again next week.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. Boy, oh boy, always something great coming out of Deacon Dan Breyer there. There's another podcast that I want to mention, Dave, and I know Teresa Tomeo is going to talk about it today during Catholic Connection. But Dr. Edward Sri, he's going to be on the show to talk about a podcast that's going to launch this Friday called The Mass in a Month.
The Mass in a Month?
Yeah.
And I mean, what would that be about?
Well, I guess we'll find out with Catholic Connection today, because he's going to be on to talk about it. But it sounds like, you think of Bible in a year and Catechism in a year.
Okay.
Maybe he's going to break down the Mass over a series that goes a month.
Well, that makes sense, yeah. We'll look forward to that, all the particulars of the Mass, going over it in the course of a month. Sounds fabulous.
Yeah.
You know what else I look forward to?
What's that?
We've got Pat Odie Murray joining us in just a few minutes as we begin the second hour of the morning offering. And we'll have Andrew Reinhardt get to spend some time with him. We'll also have Who Said That? And a couple of other conversations, including a chat with Pat, all coming up next hour here on Morning Offering. Hope you'll be able to stay with us.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I know I'm going to be here. I'm going to stay. What about you?
Oh, good. I'm glad you're sticking around, because otherwise we wouldn't know what buttons to push.
All right. Welcome to it. And in the meantime, I guess grab an umbrella on the way out. It's not going to be a washout today, but it is going to be some scattered showers. About 54 for a high, and we're still hanging in there, about 53 degrees. More to come on Morning Offering.
Annunciation Radio brought me closer to the faith. I'm learning so much more with all the programs. I especially like On the Way Home, Catholic Answers. I sometimes come home and have to sit and listen to that final question before I actually turn off the car and go into the house.
Annunciation Radio wants to thank Archbold Furniture Company for their underwriting support. A faith-filled company with roots in the local community, Archbold Furniture has been manufacturing solid wood furniture since 1900. They build the furniture and partner with premier Amish finishers where it is hand-finished to match the decor of your home or office, offering everything from beds and dressers to cabinets and dining room tables. To learn more about their products and to look at the virtual showroom, visit archboldfurniture.com.
Greetings in the risen Lord, everyone. Bishop Daniel Thomas here of the Diocese of Toledo, inviting you to participate in our 2026 Diocesan Annual Catholic Appeal. If you've already given your gift, deepest thanks. If you've not given yet, this is your prompt. So our theme this year, Hope in Action, is because hope is what your support provides. I have to share with you the exciting news that we have already exceeded the donations at this time last year, which is so hopeful and positive that we'll make our goal. You know, the Annual Catholic Appeal supports our work of the parishes and Catholic ministries to care for the needy, educate seminarians, support Catholic school foundations and teachers, and to assist all those in need. Please put hope into action and donate to our Annual Catholic Appeal. Eastertime blessings.
Annunciation Radio produces more local programming than any other Catholic radio station in the country. And not only can you listen live to Morning Offering, The Virtuous Life, Bishop's Corner, Say Yes to Life, Faith with Reasons, and other great programs, you can also access them on our website and YouTube channel. Visit artoledo.com for the full list and links, and listen anytime, anywhere.
Catholic radio for the Diocese of Toledo. This is Annunciation Radio. WNOC Bowling Green, Toledo. WHRQ Sandusky. WRRO Eden Bryan. WFOT Lexington Mansfield. And WSHB Willard.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Well, top of the morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday. Ron Finn here, along with Pat Odie Murray. She's waving. Aren't you waving? You're waving. and Dave Vacheris, he's waving too. I can't hear you wave, Dave. Yeah, he's waving. He's waving. It is the feast today of St. Catherine of Siena.
Love her.
Of course, Doctor of the Church. She was named that in 1970. She's the co-patron of Italy and Europe. And, of course, receiving visions of Christ beginning at age 7. What an amazing woman. Many parishes named after St. Catherine of Siena, including one here in our Diocese of Toledo. And, of course, her work with the poor and the sick attracted others, and her visions continued well into adulthood. So we really honor St. Catherine of Siena today. We are looking forward to a fabulous hour, including the one and the only Andrew Reinhardt. Becoming Gift is coming up. And we've got, who said that? Pat Odie Murray will try to trick us, and she's usually pretty good at that because we're pretty gullible, quite frankly. And a chat with Pat a little bit later. So glad you are with us this morning. Let's get started with Matthew Handley. He has a look at the latest news.
Good morning, Ron, and good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, April 29th. Here's what's happening. Yesterday, British monarch King Charles III gave a speech to a joint session of Congress in which he praised the historical partnership the United States has had with the United Kingdom. King Charles said the UK and the US share similar ideals.
Ours is a partnership born out of dispute, but no less strong for it. So perhaps in this example, we can discern that our nations are in fact instinctively like-minded.
Echoing President Trump's speech earlier in the day, the king said the destinies of the UK and the US are linked. The king noted his visit comes at, quote, times of great uncertainty, referencing conflicts in the Middle East and elsewhere. Vice President J.D. Vance, President Trump's cabinet, and other dignitaries also assembled in the House chamber for the speech. Queen Elizabeth II is the only other British monarch to address a joint session of Congress when she visited in 1991. King Charles and Queen Camilla traveled to New York today, where the king said he would stop at the 9/11 memorial. Former FBI Director James Comey says he is still innocent and, quote, not afraid after being indicted once again by the Justice Department. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said yesterday Comey faces 2 felony charges related to a threat to kill President Trump. The latest charges are connected to a social media post featuring the message 8647. In a post after the indictment was announced, Comey also said he believes, quote, in the independent federal judiciary. Last year, the DOJ charged Comey for allegedly lying to Congress, but the case was thrown out on technical grounds. The Maryland Supreme Court has ruled that prosecutors cannot reveal the names of those who allegedly hid or failed to report abuse cases within the Catholic Church. Prosecutors in that state investigating the Archdiocese of Baltimore had sought to make public the names of uncharged individuals who allegedly failed to stop abuse from occurring. The state Supreme Court said, quote, one of the primary purposes of grand jury secrecy is to protect uncharged persons from public disgrace in the absence of a criminal charge and a forum in which to seek vindication. And Governor Josh Green of Hawaii has signed a new law into force establishing April 27th as Brother Joseph Dutton Day. Servant of God Joseph Dutton was a Civil War veteran who dedicated the latter part of his life to serving people with leprosy in Kalaupapa on the island of Molokai. He worked alongside St. Damien of Molokai. Brother Joseph's cause for canonization opened in 2022, and in 2024, the local phase of his cause concluded, and its findings were sent to Rome. And that is the news this morning. I'm Matthew Handley. Back we go to Toledo. Here's Ron, Dave, and Pat.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, a lot happening in the news.
Yeah, and thanks, Matthew. Look, here is the thing. I love being Catholic. I love being Catholic. And you know what's so wonderful about our Catholic faith, beyond our sacraments, beyond our gathering for worship, are the things that we can do for those who are less fortunate. And not only the things that we can do, but the things that we actually do. The diocese, here's one example. The Diocese of Pensacola, Tallahassee, Florida is preparing to debut an intimate village of micro homes priced for seniors at risk of homelessness. The diocese's Trinity Village, located just a few blocks from Pensacola Bay on the Florida Panhandle, will offer the tiny homes at affordable rents to individuals experiencing housing insecurity. Pat and Ron, this area of the country is exploding.
Oh my gosh.
It's a place where people to go vacation. That means the seniors there, you've got rents that are just out of control. Yeah. Where else are they going to live? Well, who's coming to the rescue? Of course, it's the Catholic Diocese, who's not only providing this, but has an out-of-the-box way of approaching it that gives people independence, but does it at a very affordable rate and can do it by providing multiple homes, multiple homes for people to live in, but independently.
Yeah, I love this story, Dave, just for the reasons you said, because I don't think we realize it's not even that Florida's just a great vacation spot. Lots of people move there.
Well, right.
I've talked to people down there that said homes are just unbelievable. I mean,
Right.
to try to buy a home is just,
Right.
amazing.
they look nice.
And then to rent is like a whole nother story.
Right.
So you can imagine, that senior citizens are just getting priced out of,
Right.
they're usually on a fixed income. And so they're just getting priced out of it. And so, but I think it's cool. This was a vacant lot behind the pastoral center of the
Right.
diocese.
Right. Interesting.
Isn't that neat? And so they've actually constructed these tiny homes. They're 300 square foot houses. And they have a bedroom, a kitchen, a living room, a dining room, and a bathroom, as well as an on-site laundry. So I don't know what the on-site laundry means. But the cool part, I think, about this, too, is now it's $500, utilities included.
Right.
So that's, but it's a tiny house. But the thing is I love that they're building them in community, because
Right.
one of the things, even for senior citizens who want to stay in their homes, and I by all means understand that. I mean, I would be hard for me to think about leaving my house. But you lose your sense sometimes of community when you can't drive, when you can't, when you got to depend on somebody else. And so here, you can just walk out on your front porch and talk to somebody. I mean,
Exactly.
I
Right.
think it kills two birds with one stone, as they say, in the sense that it makes it affordable. They don't have a lot to keep up. They can keep up this probably almost on their own.
Right.
And they're in community, I think. And then to have the pastoral center, in your backyard, I'm sure that'll be a great witness for people from the pastoral center to send people over to visit these people. So it's a great idea.
No, and that's what Bishop Walk said. Look, we're not here just to pray. Not that that's not a good thing for us to do. He said, but we are here to build up the kingdom of God and to serve our brothers and sisters in need. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome when you consider rent is $500 a month for these tiny homes.
All inclusive, right?
Yeah, including utilities, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, some very inspiring idea there. Maybe
it
some
is.
other parishes will jump in on that. That'd be great. Let us get to our word of the day today. Dave Vashris has it from today's scripture readings.
Our word for today is light, taken from the Gospel of John, chapter 12, verses 44 to 50. Jesus cried out and said, "Whoever believes in me believes not only in me, but also in the one who sent me. And whoever sees me sees the one who sent me." Of course, who he's referring to here is the Father. Jesus came to do two things. Jesus came to set us free, to make us free of our sin, to reconcile us to whom? To the Father, right? But he also came to reveal the Father to us, that we might see the Father, that we might hear the Father. He said that when you hear him, we hear the Father. When we see him, we see the Father. He had come that we might better understand the Father. Why? Because people had completely misconstrued the Father. People had misrepresented who the Father was. Jesus had come that there might be clarity about who the Father is. Who is the Father? The Father is love. Yes, God is L-O-V-E. God is love. God is in love with us. He created us in love. He died for us in love. He rose from the dead in love. He ascended into heaven out of love. He sent the Holy Spirit because of love for us. He opened the gates of heaven because of love for us. And he made himself available to us in the Eucharist out of love for us. It is all love, brothers and sisters. And then Jesus said, "I came into the world as light so that everyone who believes in me might not remain in darkness. And if anyone hears my words and does not observe them, I don't condemn him. For I didn't come to condemn the world, but to save the world." Jesus came to set light upon the world. Jesus came that we might be free, brothers and sisters. Yes, the desire of the Father is that everyone be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth, St. Paul says with great clarity. Yes, that is the desire of the Father. But the gift of the Father is free will. The gift of the Father is free will. We're made in his image and likeness. And yes, the gift that we have is that of free will, and that will not be removed from us. And so, yes, his desire is that we freely choose him, and that is always available to us. The light has come to overcome the darkness. Jesus did not come to condemn the world, We see that, of course, in the Gospel of John, chapter 3, verse 16 as well, that God the Father sent his only Son into the world that we might be saved. He didn't send him into the world to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him. That is what the plan has always been. But we also know that the scripture tells us that men prefer darkness over light. And so we must choose that light. We must choose to cling to that light. And then we go on in the Gospel of John, chapter 12 today. Jesus says, whoever rejects me and does not accept my word has something to judge him, the word that I spoke. There is nothing left in the darkness, nothing left unsaid. We know what Jesus has said. We know what the expectation is, brothers and sisters. The invitation is there. If you've not yet accepted that invitation of Jesus, now is the time of God's favor. Today is the day of salvation. Come into the light. Come out of the darkness and into the beautiful, wonderful, glorious light that is Jesus Christ. Into that new life, into that new creation that he has waiting for you, because he has brought us light. Light, our word for today.
I love it. I love it. And of course, you want to make sure that that illuminating light, what is it illuminating in you, right?
Yeah.
You kind of have to make sure we check ourselves, right?
Oh, yeah. Jesus doesn't say he's the light of the world for nothing, right?
No.
We're supposed to. I always think about that we reflect his light, and I think that's just a cool way to think about being light. The light comes from him.
Awesome reflection as always, Dave. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Andrew Reinhardt coming up next, Becoming Gift on Morning Offering.
People are talking about Annunciation Radio.
I listen every morning at 7, all the way through till about 10 whenever I can. It is not only the best way to start the day, it just keeps you going.
Annunciation Radio.
This is Rodney Schuster, Executive Director of Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Toledo. Join me each week on Annunciation Radio for Faith Alive as we highlight the many ministries and services Catholic Charities provides. Tuesday at 4 p.m. and Saturdays at 3 p.m. on Annunciation Radio.
Underwriting on Annunciation Radio provided by Isabel Financial Services at 2346 North Reynolds Road in Toledo. They offer professional guidance for new and existing businesses, key person life and disability insurance, financial planning and 401k plans, investment strategies, and more. You can reach them at 419-535-1236. Securities offered through Sigma Financial Corporation, member FINRA SIPC. Isabel Financial Services is independent of Sigma Financial Corporation.
Pope Francis said, "The key that opens the door to the faith is prayer." Join St. Paul Street Evangelization by running a prayer station in the public square. You don't need to be a professional apologist or theologian. Just listen to the needs of the people you encounter. Offer encouragement, take prayer requests, and pray with people. Find out more and get involved today at streetevangelization.com. That's streetevangelization.com.
Shop with a purpose at your St. Vincent de Paul Toledo thrift store, now located in the Airport Square Shopping Center, right next to Pet Supplies Plus at Airport and Reynolds. Shop and save on a huge selection of quality, gently used clothing, housewares, and lots of unique finds. Every purchase helps us help our neighbors in need. We welcome your donations of clothing and other items. The St. Vincent de Paul Toledo thrift store, Airport at Reynolds, open for you Monday through Saturday.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Morning Offering. I'm Ron Finn, along with Dave Vacheris and Pat Odie Murray. And I know, Pat, you've got a chat with Pat coming up with Peter Gersh today.
Peter Gersh, yeah. We're doing, it's called The Doctrine of Conditional Joy. Yeah, it's an interesting story. Yeah,
I can't wait to hear that conversation. But we have one for you right now. You're going to be glad you're with us because it is time for our conversation with Andrew Reinhardt and Becoming Gift. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Pat, Dave, and Ron. How are you?
Doing great. How are you this morning, Andrew?
Doing great.
Good.
I'm enjoying
Remind
having...
our folks again real quickly, Andrew, how to keep up with all things Andrew Reinhardt related.
Yeah, you can find everything I do at becominggift.com. It'll take you to my Substack. I was going to say I'm enjoying that we're actually having some spring this year.
Yeah,
I often
right,
feel
yeah.
like we go from a blizzard to the scorching heat of the sun.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying actually having a bit of spring here this year.
Yeah. Today they're saying it's going to be more fall, Andrew. Just to let you know.
You know, get out your pumpkin spice and
That's
make the
right.
best of it. So we're going through a series this Easter season on evangelization in the body. Or you might also think of it as the physiology of conversion. And I want to spend a little bit of time today on the spiritual works of mercy. This is from the end of the book of James, James chapter 5. My brethren, if anyone among you wanders from the truth and someone brings him back, let him know that whoever brings back a sinner from the error of his own way will save his soul from death and will cover a multitude of sins. This idea of saving the soul from death. You know, a lot of evangelization was motivated by fear of hell in the history of the church. We have to go save those people so they don't burn for eternity. And in many ways, in modern times, we've sort of thought our way out of that. You know, some people don't think that hell even exists.
Right.
Some people think that everyone will be saved. Some people think that maybe people are better off if we never tell them about the gospel in the first place. We won't place that burden on them, right? But that fundamental idea of, are you saved, as our Protestant brothers and sisters would say, or some of you might be old enough to remember when you would try to save the pagan babies, right?
Right.
You donate your change at your Catholic school.
Oh, yeah.
What's interesting when we think about this isn't so much, are we saving someone from hell? But we might reformulate the question and say, is your life hell now?
Oh, amen. Yeah.
The book of Romans, Paul says the wages of sin is death. And Jesus says the kingdom of God is at hand. There's a here but not yet reality to the age of the church. Are we experiencing a foretaste of heaven in our life of faith? Or are we experiencing a foretaste of hell in our life of sin? Are our sufferings purgatory on earth, or are our sufferings hell on earth? This is the switch that the gospel can make in our life. Not that we're saved from some distant, far-off event in the future where we may suffer or may have eternal bliss. But where are we today? What are we experiencing today? What does it mean to die? I think of back to the story of Adam and Eve, and God says, if you eat the fruit, you're going to die. And the serpent says, surely you won't die. And they eat the fruit. And I'll tell you what, their heart kept beating after that food went down into their stomachs and they confronted the Lord. But something amazing and surprising and terrible happened to Adam and Eve after they ate that fruit. They hid from God. They hid from one another. There was a spiritual death that happened in them immediately. And then, of course, they do eventually die. Now, they have long lives, and part of what's going on there is we read that and we're surprised at how long they live.
Right.
For the ancient people, really the way it's written is we're surprised they're dying at all.
Right.
And, of course, you look at the wages of their sin. Cain and Abel, their children, murdered each other.
Right.
So you see this immediate effect, this kind of spiritual death, this deeper death. You know, in a sense, their heart stopping probably would have been more of a mercy to save them from the consequences of their actions. But God lets us experience the consequences of our actions because they teach us something. They give us the hope of redemption. You know, looking at today, we experience this really pandemic of depression in our society. And I don't want to simplify a complex phenomenon. I'm not trying to say that depression is caused by sin. Of course not. But when you look at the total effect of sin on society, the breakdown of the family, the effect of people's sins on us, our own personal sin, and in a lot of ways, the wider phenomenon of sin, yeah, I think depression does come from that. In the United States, currently, 19.1, almost 20% of U.S. adults are currently being treated for depression. Lifetime, 30%, almost 1 in 3 adults will be diagnosed with depression in their lifetime. And just over 16%, 1 in 6 U.S. adults are currently on antidepressant medications. So when you think of that, you have a room of 100 people. About 1/3, 30 of those people Or you have a classroom of 10 students, 3 of those students, so on and so forth, to really give you a sense of the size of this. In our church, historically, we talk a lot about our corporal works of mercy today, but we often forget about the spiritual works of mercy.
Amen.
The first 2 of which are admonish the sinner and instruct the ignorant. Admonish the sinner and instruct the ignorant. When you put those together, I think you have evangelization.
Yes.
Right.
That basic idea of evangelization, to admonish the sinner and instruct the ignorant, those are works of mercy. But the question is, how do we do this? And I have to harken back to our last couple of weeks where I've talked about evangelization in a relational mode. Right? Who are the people that God has given to you to love? Who is the people that God has given to you to love? Right? Adam and Eve, their evangelization, in a sense of one another, was meant to happen in the context of their relationship. Their evangelization of their children, Cain and Abel, was meant to happen in the context of their relationship. And when we see Jesus redeem the world, he does it in the context of relationship, in the context of forming disciples, forming this family of faith around him. And then not only that, but there's a way that the gospel takes our human instincts out to a macro level. What I mean by that is the core of human relationship has always been family. And humanity's historically was very tribal. It's sort of your extended family versus other people's extended family. Well, what does Jesus do is he says, call God your father.
Right.
And he says, who's my brother and sister? And it's, that lie of Cain and Abel, am I my brother's keeper? Jesus flips that on its head and multiplies it by infinity to say not just that you have to take care of your brother, but everyone's your brother, everyone's your sister, and you all have that same father. And it's that relationship of family spread out over the whole of humanity that then leverages our basic human instincts toward the kingdom of God. So it's in this context that we have to understand the call to evangelize is urgent. Not because we have to be afraid of everyone going to hell. Of course, hell's real and hell's a possibility. But the reality is a lot of people are living in hell right now.
Right.
While they're walking and breathing and their heart's still beating, just like Adam and Eve after they committed that sin. And we have to believe that the church has something meaningful to offer and that it makes a meaningful difference in people's lives to receive the Eucharist and go to confession and be part of a parish community. So today, as we think about evangelization in the season of Easter, think of the spiritual works of mercy and that sharing the gospel with your loved ones and those God has given you to love is a real work of mercy.
And isn't this call to accompaniment, Andrew, just being able to identify people's pain, to know that they're in hell right now, that they're in purgatory right now, they're suffering, so that we can minister to them and help them to find freedom in that? If you can walk with someone in their pain, then you can help them to find comfort and peace in that through the gospel, right?
Yeah, walking with people and being God for them. We experience God in and through one another. And what is heaven but to be with God? Right? So if you're with someone and God is within you as a baptized person, you're bringing a bit of heaven to them.
Yeah, and I think we go right to the corporal works of mercy all the time instead of finding you've got to have both. People ask me to give talks on the corporal work of mercy, and I said only if I can also talk about the spiritual. They're both important. And I love that, Andrew, that you're bringing that out, because a lot of times people don't like to talk about that.
What a great reflection for us to chew on today, Andrew. And you got a birthday coming up. Is there a gift registry set up anyway?
No. Just pray for me, please.
So, big birthday Friday.
Happy birthday.
Annunciation Radio would like to thank and acknowledge the law firm of Klein, Cook, and Weisenberger, located on Route 20 in Perrysburg, for underwriting a portion of our programming today. The firm specializes in estate planning, with a focus on simplifying estate plans to keep costs down and avoid probate when possible. You may reach Matt Weisenberger at 419-321-6444, online at ccw-law.com. Thank you for supporting Annunciation Radio.
I met someone on a trip recently. She came to me with a baby and said, "This baby's because of your trip to New Jersey last year." She said, "I had had an abortion in high school, and it felt like I was damned. And then, after hearing the message of the gospel at your event, I realized I was redeemable. and that God's love tells me who I am, not my past mistakes. She got right with God, made a good confession, and decided to have a baby with her husband shortly thereafter. It's amazing how the message of the gospel fixes every problem in the human heart. You know, I don't care where you've been or what you've done. God's love for you is bigger. No, Chris, you don't understand. My sin is so big. What I did is bigger than what God, in all his power, did for me on the cross. I'm glad I could put words to what you were thinking, so you could hear how silly it sounds. Come home. He loves you. And what he did for you is bigger than the power of any sin in your life. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com.
We invite you to join us each weekday at 3 p.m. here on Annunciation Radio for our Hour of Grace and Mercy. We begin first with the praying of the Divine Mercy Chaplet. Following that, we have Mass from Rosary Cathedral. This is an invitation to set some time apart in prayer and reflection with us, your friends here at Annunciation Radio, for this hour of grace and mercy. Share your prayer requests with us at chapletprayer@gmail.com.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
What a beautiful day that the Lord has gifted us with. That's why they call the present a present, right? I mean, it's a gift to all of us, and we welcome you to Morning Offering. Ron Finn here along with Dave Vacheris. Hello, Dave.
Good morning to you, Mr. Finn.
And Pat Odie Murray.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we always look forward to our Wednesdays because there are always a lot to get to. I don't know why I say that, because we always look forward to our Tuesdays and our Wednesdays and our Thursdays. It's just such a joy to be with you each and every weekday.
Yeah, I look forward to Fridays. I'm just saying, I like Wednesdays. I'm very particular. I like them all. They're like my children. I like them equally. But I will say there's a particular fondness of Friday heading into the weekends.
Yeah.
And I will say this: I like all of our games. I like the ones that I'm asking the questions the most. But here we go. Of all of those the days that I don't ask the questions, this is my favorite. Who said that? Not because I do well with it, but I like the quote. So here we go.
I think you and Ron have been doing better with it, I think. I think you figured out my pattern or something. Not that I have a pattern.
I think the last couple of times we've not done well at all. I don't think so.
Thank you for the vote of confidence.
Yes, I have total confidence in both of you. And you're ready to go, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. When people say it's always the last place you look, of course it is. Why would you keep looking after you found it?
Now that's pretty smart.
Yeah, that is smart. Okay. Is that Les Dawson, Billy Connolly, or Jim Belushi?
Oh my goodness. Belushi, man, which is, again, we're going
Not
back
John,
to
Jim.
Sesame Street. I just don't. Yeah.
Jim Belushi.
Jim Belushi. And Les Dawson, who was the middle one?
Billy Connolly.
Billy Connolly.
Irish comedian. I think I'm going to go with Jim Belushi, but I'll tell you what, I am not confident. What do you think, Dave?
I'm going Irish all the way. Billy Connolly. That sounds just like Irish wisdom to me.
Well, see, Dave, you are correct. You get the
All
belt.
right.
It is
I'll
Irish
take it.
wisdom.
There we go.
Billy
Yeah.
Connolly. Okay.
Nicely done. All right.
I love the. I think this next one is really is funny. I wanted to buy a candle holder, but the store didn't have one, so I got a cake.
Oh my goodness!
Isn't that great?
That could be Dave. That could be Dave. So mine would be. So I bought a donut. So.
Yeah, I love that. I think that is so funny. Is that Stephen Wright, Damien Fahey, or Mitch Hedberg?
Oh my goodness! What are you thinking, Mr. Finn?
Who's the third one again?
Mitch Hedberg.
Mitch Hedberg.
I wanted to buy a candle
Damien
holder,
Clark
but the
was one,
store didn't have one.
And it was
So I
Damien Clark was the first one?
Damien Fahey,
Damien
Stephen
Fahey,
Wright,
yeah.
or Mitch.
Yeah, I'm blending them all together. So
That's right.
Mission
You could, make it Damien Wright or Stephen Fahey. I don't know.
I'm leaning towards Stephen Wright, but I don't know. It's almost
I love this one.
Almost too deep for him.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to go Stephen Wright.
Are you going Stephen
Yeah,
Wright?
I am.
Yeah, I'm going Damian Fahey on this one.
Okay, well,
It was
buzzer
Mitch.
for both of you.
It was
Mitch
Mitch.
Hedberg.
Doggone it. Doggone it.
Isn't
That's
that
a great
one,
quote, though.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
wanted to buy a
quote, yeah.
candle holder store to
Yeah,
have one, so
yeah.
I got a cake.
I could
love
definitely hear him. But as you said, I could hear any of them saying that one, but that
Yeah,
one's good.
yeah.
Yeah, like
Okay, here we go. Here's number 3. Where it all went wrong was the day they started the spelling bee. Because up until that day, I was an idiot, but nobody else knew.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Was that Brian Regan, Nate Bargatze, or Jim Gaffigan?
Oh, my goodness.
I love that one, too.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
The nice thing about doing this game is I'm laughing the whole time I'm putting
exactly.
it together. So
These
it keeps
quotes
me-
are so fabulous.
I love them. Yeah, they're so.
Regan Bargatze, or who was the last? Oh, it
Gaffigan.
Was, or Gaffigan.
Mhm.
My goodness. And then that's the problem. All these guys are
Yeah,
funny, and
they
any
are.
of them could
I
have
could
said
hear that
Give us
coming
the
out of
quote
any of
one
their
more
mouths.
time. That was,
Sure.
that-
Where it all went wrong was the day they started the spelling bee. Because up until that day, I was an idiot, but nobody else knew.
All right, not Bargatze. Okay. I'm going Regan on this one. I don't think it's Gaffigan or Bargatze.
Yeah, you're going Brian Regan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Jim Gaffigan.
Okay, give it to Dave. Brian
Oh,
Regan it is.
I just couldn't
Okay.
hear either of those guys saying that. All right.
That's good.
Very
Dave.
good. Okay,
Yeah.
that was
Very
the process
intuitive.
of elimination on that one.
Okay, I'm not
yeah.
keeping track of who's doing what, so here we
Well,
go.
Dave's got 2. I got nothing.
Okay, Rod, let's get
I'm
on
sorry,
the board
I have
with
nothing.
this one. Okay. Let's get on the board with this one. Here's the bonus. I read recipes the same way I read science fiction. I get to the end and say to myself, well, that's not going to happen.
That sounds like you and Monsignor Billion.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm not using that. What if I substituted
Yeah,
this?
no,
what if I
that's-
substituted that?
That's
I
right.
don't know.
That's not going to happen.
Can I
Okay.
even find that at my store? I don't know.
I know. Was that Irma Bombeck, Margaret Cho, or Rita Rudner?
Ah.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. I feel pretty good about this one.
Do you really?
Well, I'm thinking Rita Rudner. Yeah.
Why?
That's what I'm thinking.
Why? What's your...
Because I think Irma Bombeck's too obvious.
Okay.
And you don't like Margaret Cho?
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I could see her saying that too.
Just asking.
Give me
But
the
I'm going to go
quote.
Rita Rudner.
Okay.
Give me the quote one more time.
I read recipes the same way I read science fiction. I get to the end and say to myself, well, that's not going to happen.
I'm going Margaret Cho.
Okay.
It was Bombeck, wasn't it?
No, Ron is on the board.
Ron
it
got
was
it.
Rita
Okay,
Rudner.
it was.
Woo,
Okay.
Ron, you didn't
And you
get
knew it.
skunked.
You knew it right at the beginning. Like
Yeah,
you
I
had
took a
the
stab
sense,
at it.
yeah.
It was a total wild guess.
Oh,
I was quite impressed.
you said it. You said it with great confidence. Like you nailed it. Like you had it.
I know.
And I thought, wow, I had no clue why you would have arrived at that with such confidence, but you did.
I know. He's
Hey,
good.
if you're
What
going to
can
make
I
a
say?
mistake, you commit to it.
I wanted to phone a friend. I wanted to call Monsignor Billion.
Yeah.
There you
I thought, you know.
Yeah, Monsignor, I was going to the store to make that recipe you gave us,
That's
but
right.
man, I passed a fast food drive-through on the way.
That's right.
I wanted to phone a friend, and Monsignor Billion would have said, Dave, you and I are friends?
Have you ever wondered about church teaching? What's happening in our Diocese of Toledo? How to respond to challenges to your faith? Bishop Daniel E. Thomas takes time each week to answer your questions on the Bishop's Corner. Submit your questions at artoledo.com, on our app, or email to bishop@annunciationradio.com. Please include your name and parish or town and listen for his answer on the next show.
The Christ Child Society of Toledo is a women's organization that serves children in need. Our members tutor children, provide layettes for newborns, teach parenting classes, volunteer in school libraries, and provide new winter coats for children while making lasting friendships. If you'd like to join us in challenging poverty, one child at a time, find us at ChristChildSocietyOfToledo.org. Remember, nothing is ever too much to do for a child.
Experience the incredible story of a woman who Time magazine named the most influential Catholic woman in the United States. Rita Rizzo, the future Mother Angelica, grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Canton, Ohio during the Great Depression. Rita's father abandoned the family before she was 5 years old. Her early years of trial were compounded by a debilitating illness until she was healed by Jesus through a woman named Rhoda Wise. That healing set her life on a course that would ultimately change the world. Learn the amazing story of Rita Rizzo at the Mother Angelica Museum in her hometown of Canton, Ohio. Go to www.motherangelicamuseum.com. Be inspired. Plan your visit now at motherangelicamuseum.com.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Well, happy Easter on this feast of St. Catherine of Siena. Of course, looking forward to a wonderful day today. We've got a chat with Pat coming up in just a little while. And then at 9 o'clock, I know Dr. Edward Sri is going to be joining Teresa Tamio on Catholic Connection. He's going to be talking about a new podcast that he's doing starting on Friday called The Mass in a Month.
Yeah.
So that sounds pretty interesting.
Well, yeah, and I think, and we're going to talk about a story that I think is part of this conversation as well. There's another story that I saw in Church Pop, Father Mike Schmitz talking about the power of the sign of the cross that we make. I mean, it's a simple thing. 1 million viewers. There's this conversation that's going on in our culture right now about all things faith related, and some of it's even heading to the courts. We've got this one about the Saint Michael and Saint Florian statues that's going to head to the Supreme Court. This is not a new thing. It keeps coming back around. The ACLU is fighting against Massachusetts City wanting to put 10-foot statues of Saint Michael and Saint Florian on a public building there, of course, in honor of what? The police department and the fire department. These are clearly the images that these two groups of people have honored for a very, very long time. And it's not unprecedented in any way for them to have these two images amongst them when they build their buildings.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me understand this, because I'm reading, thinking, well, there are other places that put the 10 Commandments out.
You're right.
I mean, they've
even in this city.
Yeah, they've ruled on this stuff before, but the guy who is the lawyer who is fighting this says that doing so will not lead to wholesale eradication of public artwork throughout the Commonwealth. To the contrary, the case law makes clear that when it comes to religious iconography, context matters. Here, meaning in this case that you just described, Dave, here the context involves permanently affixing 2 large statues of Christian saints as the sole and prominent adornments at the entrance of a public building that is designed to provide basic essential services to all residents, regardless of their religious beliefs. So I can't make sense of that.
That's legal double talk is what that is.
Yeah. Does it sound that way to you? I read that because I'm always the why person. Just tell me why. Let's find the logic in this. I can't find the logic. Is it just because it's the only artwork? Or is it because they're so big? Or is it because the people of all faiths have to walk through it? Are they afraid people will burst into flames or something? I mean, what are they thinking? I don't know.
I think what they've done over the course of the last 40 or 50 years is they put these arguments forward. They've intimidated everyone around them, and they've gotten their way. And everyone has backed off. Now, thanks be to God for Becket and the Becket Fund and these fabulous lawyers who go out and they fight these cases, and they are not afraid, and they take them all the way to the Supreme Court, and there's precedents, and we win these cases, right? I'm going to throw myself in there like I'm part of this. But no, people of faith win these because there is precedence for this kind of thing. And so now we're not afraid to go to court and fight these battles. So the idea that this could go all the way to the Supreme Court and that there might be a victory is more likely than not, because there is an establishment of this thing over a couple of hundred years, that this is not outside the norm, and it can happen. And particularly where these two organizations are concerned. We pointed it out with the police departments and fire departments. It's not uncommon to have images of St. Michael and St. Florian represented among these two. Not always Catholic, not always even Christian. These two organizations have represented these two figures, St. Michael and St. Florian, within their departments for a very long time now. And so you can't say that it's only Catholics that have done that.
Yeah, and you make a great point because a lot of this is to do with precedent, right?
Right.
There's been precedent for putting these statues on. So I think a lot of that ACLU fight is about, okay, if we defeat this, then we set a precedent. You know what I'm saying? And then in the future, we can point to that precedent.
Well, and part of, and I don't get it, so I'm throwing it out there. Maybe you guys can explain. But again, Rossman, who is the ACLU lawyer, said that Quincy residents, the Quincy residents challenging the statues are asking the state's highest court to follow the state constitution and its own precedent. So are they saying that there is something in the Massachusetts state constitution that forbids this, and they've already had a precedent statewide saying you can't do this?
But I mean, that's obviously not, because he's saying that there is precedent that's been set, because even if they were to allow this, it wouldn't eradicate all of it, right? So there obviously has been precedent that's allowed some of it. And I like this, that they brought this up as well. Michael isn't just a Catholic figure, the city's brief points out. So the city is fighting to keep this. The city wants this, obviously. They're the ones that put it forward. He is also honored by Anglicans, Lutherans, among other Christians, and he appears in both Hebrew scriptures and the Quran. So they're like, come on, no one is offended by this. Those offended by it are so few that this is not even a point of contention. We need to just be able to move forward. First responders of all stripes, religious creeds, this is what they've gone on to say, the city, and their brief. In political affiliations, and not just Catholics or Christians, cherish both saints for their symbolic importance to the profession. For the National Fraternal Order of Police in Massachusetts, Fraternal Order of Police said in their brief. It is not, again, even a local issue. This is a national understanding of the role of these two saints in these two organizations.
Yeah.
And the city of Quincy itself, I mean, they've got a steep Catholic history, so it is etched throughout the city. This is certainly not unusual to put statues like this in front of this quote-unquote public building, right? So, yeah, it's just another way to kind of throw some flies in the ointment, you know?
Yeah, and I think the idea here, again, is like a few residents that don't like this. They can stop it for everybody. I mean, this is our, I mean, the whole point of law is to put forth a good, right? And so I'm struggling here to see how, what is evil about this that you have to stop it, I mean, to me, I don't know. I don't know if I would be irritated by, I'm trying to think of some image that might be on a public building other than Satan himself, that would irritate me,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I never did get that. I'm always thinking, okay, just close your eyes and walk through.
Yeah, because what's the worst that can happen? You look at those statues and you go, I don't know who those people are.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's pretty good artwork.
Yeah.
Well, in the article from National Catholic Register says this: along the way, the state Supreme Judicial Court invoked the federal so-called Lemon test, which derives from a 1971 U.S. Supreme Court case called Lemon versus Kreutzmann, in which the U.S. Supreme Court set forth 3 standards for judging if a law that affects religion passes constitutional muster. They are secular legislative purpose, excessive governmental entanglement with religion. So there we go.
Living the Beatitudes with Father Bjorn.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. What does this strange beatitude mean? Well, Father Victor Feltz points out that George Bailey, in It's a Wonderful Life, embodies this beatitude. He has to sacrifice his bucket list items and his dreams in order to save the building and loan company of Bedford Falls. But by the end of the movie, he realizes that he's truly the richest man in town. The Beatitudes challenge our understanding of happiness both as individuals and as a society. They're paradoxical and they upend our priorities. We don't need anyone to tell us that good fortune, money, and success do often make us happy. But we wouldn't have thought that the road to riches in God's kingdom is paved with meekness. It doesn't mean denying your gifts, but it does challenge us to allow others to have the spotlight and to approach them with gentleness. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Hey, happy birthday, Willie Nelson.
Oh, 93 years old today.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, now he's as old as he looked when he was 73. Happy birthday
He grew
to
into
you,
his
Willie
age.
Nelson. And today is National Denim Day today, too, so that seems to fit.
Yeah,
hey, you know what else it
absolutely.
is? It's also a time, it is time for Chat with Pat.
Yes, and today we have with us Peter Gersh. And he has had a varied career in business, academia, and the arts. He's had a stint as a teacher and a nonprofit executive, and then he launched Cathedral Consulting Group, which oversaw its growth into a multinational, multi-million-dollar management consulting firm. And he is currently serving as founder of this and CEO, geez, I'll spit it out, of the Gersh Group. And he's published many Catholic books and a new one that is coming out, talking of St. Michelangelo, death, judgment, or of Michelangelo, he's not a saint, death, judgment, heaven, and hell in the Burgundy region. So hopefully I will get to talk to him about that someday. But today we are talking to him about an article he wrote for Catholic Exchange called The Doctrine of Conditional Joy. Welcome, Peter. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Pat. Good morning.
This is a great article. I loved it. Can you kind of give our audience just a look at what is the doctrine of conditional joy and where does it come from?
Yeah, it comes from G.K. Chesterton and his book Orthodoxy. And the first time I read it, I was just so fascinated by it.
Yeah.
He takes, G.K. Chesterton takes what we've all heard a million times in the book of Genesis, where God says you can eat from the fruit of any tree except the one. Mm-hmm. And we never really think about that rule that God gives to Adam and Eve. But Chesterton says, when you read fairy tales, they tell us all the foundational truths of life, and they help us to see them in a new way. So Chesterton likes he likens the injunction against eating from the fruit of the tree of the fruit of good and evil. He likens that to a fairy tale where the fairy godmother always says these crazy things like, you can live in a palace of gold if you do not say the word cow, or you can live happily ever after with the prince's wife as long as you never show her an onion, or the prince's daughter as long as you never show her an onion.
Uh-huh.
And there's always and he says, an incomprehensible joy rests upon an incomprehensible injunction, a rule. And you don't understand the rule. And I just thought that was such an interesting insight into sin, really.
Yes.
We never understand, why can't I do with this? Why can't I say this thing I want to say, or watch this movie I want to watch, or whatever,
Right.
So that's the doctrine of conditional joy.
I love that. And you talk about that we really have no standing when we talk about I have, which to me, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, so tell me, Peter, it means, right, I don't have a right to these things. These are just pure gift, right?
Absolutely, and it goes back to the fairy tale again. I mean, you got to read the Ethics of Elfland. It's a chapter in Orthodoxy by G.K. Chesterton where he lays all this out. But he says, you know, like the hero of the fairy tale is always destitute, broke, right? I mean, think of Jack and the Beanstalk. Like, they got nothing, right? And then the fairy godmother offers them this wonderful thing, like Cinderella, too, right? She pours dirt, and then she gets all this stuff. She says, you got to be home by midnight, you know, or else the, everything's going to disappear. And the way Chesterton puts it, he says, you know, so if you say to the fairy godmother, why can't I stand on my head in the palace of glass? The fairy godmother might say, well, it comes to that, explain the palace of glass. Why is it here at all? You know, and I said in my article, you know, when we say, well, why would God condemn me to a miserable existence if I sin? You know, you might say, well, explain why you exist at all. You know, so we don't, everything's a gift. It's all a free gift, especially when you look back at Adam and Eve, right? I mean, like, they were created out of nothing, and here they are, and all they have to do is avoid this one tree, and they couldn't even do it.
And why do you think? And again, you say this very well in the article. Why do we have those rules, right? Why are those rules in place? Like for Adam and Eve, just don't eat of that one tree.
I think it's to help us realize that we don't own the place, that we don't own ourselves, that we're not gods, right? And I liken it in the article to those tenants that, you know, there was a landowner who built a wine press and built a vineyard and a wine press and put a hedge around it and a wall and made it real beautiful. And then he hired some tenants to work it for him. But right away, the tenants thought they owned it. So every time the owner sent somebody to collect his produce, they beat him up. They ended up killing him. They ended up killing his son. They got it in their head that it was theirs. And I think we do the same thing. You know, we think that somehow we're the master of life and everything, and we don't even know how we got here, you know. And I think that one little rule that we don't understand, like to be home by midnight or don't say the word cow or don't eat from this tree, is there to tell us you're not the master of the universe. You're not God. That there is a God, and you have to obey even just this silly little thing just to keep you in your place, to keep you humble.
And there's certainly an element of trust there too, right? That I just have to, you know, I can't figure it out, but I have to trust. I have to, it comes to trusting whoever is telling you this, right? So,
well, it all comes down to that. Yeah, I'm reading Faustina's diary.
Oh yeah,
and it takes a long time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pushing my way through it. But trust is the note, right? Of that whole symphony of her diary. It's all trust.
So one of the things you mentioned in the story is the Indiana Jones theory of life. What is that?
So the Indiana Jones theory of life is when we watch a movie like Indiana Jones, like everything goes wrong, right? Everything he does, time after time, just keeps going wrong. You know, you think he finally has the Ark, and you know somehow the Nazis get it back from him, and you know even when he knocks out that guard to take his uniform, the uniform doesn't fit. Right. So he's got to go get another guard and do it again. And that's the stuff we love about that. But then when those things happen to us in our life, we can't stand it, right? Anything goes wrong in our life, we're not happy. But when we're sitting watching a movie like that, it's what makes the movie so exciting.
Yeah. And so how do we then, because you say, you know, there's always obviously consequences. And some are what we call kind of final consequences. We see those in fairy tales a lot, but final consequences where they just lose it all. And in our society today, we just think of that as so unloving and so unfair. But how should we look at that?
Well, I think we can't get away from the fact that if we go back to the parable of the tenants in the vineyard, you know, Jesus, after he tells that, says, you know, these tenants thought they owned the place. He says, what do you think the landowner's going to do to those tenants? And the apostles say, they're going to put those wretched men to a wicked death. Yeah. And Jesus doesn't say, oh, no, that would be too harsh. He's just going to give them a little slap on the wrist. He's just like, yep, you got it. You know, I mean, we have to and to our sensibility, we'd be like, oh, that's so harsh, to put those guys to death. Maybe they had a bad childhood, or like we'd start making excuses for them. But that's not how the Bible is. That's not how Christ's words are. It's certainly not the Matthew 25, the parable of the sheep and the goats. Yeah. Those people who are called to go to heaven, they don't even know what they did right. And the people sent to hell, they don't even know what they did wrong. Like, when did I see you, naked and hungry? Well, you did it for this person, right? So they just obeyed the rules, even though they didn't understand them. And that's, and there's this, there's this finality to the punishment in the Bible that I think we've forgotten about, which of course is hell.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. This was a lovely article. Thanks so much for writing it.
You bet. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great week ahead. Our guest today,
You
Peter
too.
Gersh, varied career, business, academia, arts, and he's got a new book out. We didn't talk about that today, but go to Catholic Exchange and read this, or better yet, buy the book Orthodoxy by Chesterton, because it's based on a chapter in that. And we all know G.K. Chesterton is just an amazing man. So but it's called The Doctrine of Conditional Joy. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great conversation and good reading, obviously, too.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was a fun article to read. Yeah. I liked it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Morning Offering. For Dave Bashers and Pat Odie Murray, I'm Ron Finn. Tomorrow, we're going to welcome Matthew Archbold, and we'll pick his brain a little bit, find out what's on his mind. And, we also get to find out what a beautiful world it is with the corporate travel team, and another chat with Pat as well. Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.
I really enjoy listening to Annunciation Radio every morning. Gives you a lot of information and